Hello everyone, I'm making this video today because a friend of mine recently approached me with a really interesting question, which was, how do you actually manage to make stuff? Like, let's say you're trying to get into game development and you started to watch a bunch of tutorials and reading the documentation about whichever engine you use, let's say Unity for instance. And so you made a couple of games following these tutorials, right? And they all go something like, alright, in this tutorial we'll make our game manager. Sorry about that, I just read it here. We'll make a game manager, and our game manager will do blah 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 and blah. And you're like, alright, that's all fine and dandy, like I learned how to make this, but how do you came up with the idea of making a game manager in the first place? So the problems occur when you get this idea and you get those skills, but you just can't seem to bridge the gap between the two. And I personally had this problem too when I first started, because I was self-taught and I don't know, it's just a weird concept that you need to come up with your own stuff. Anyway, so today I'll try to answer this question, which is going to be a bit weird because this is not a tutorial, it's more how I approach that issue or whatever. So let's pretend, for instance, that we're making a match 3 game, so something like Candy Crush or something like that. And if you're into game development, you might want to try to stop the video and just think about how would you actually do it. Like, I'm giving you an assignment right now of making a match 3 games. What's your step? Personally, the way I approach it is to really break it down into the smallest task, I believe. This is going to be a bit hard to explain because in my head it goes at like 200 miles an hour, but it's going to take time to explain. But like when you're in primary school and you first learn math, and let's say you learn about areas and stuff like that, and I tell you like how much paint do you need for that wall, and this wall is 16 meters by, let's say, 3 meters, and so you need to identify like the things you know. So, well, you know that if you multiply this side by this side, you get the surface area, and you know that this side is 16 meters and this side is 3 meters. So if you then put the two together, you know you can get the answer you're looking for. So basically that's the kind of approach I'm using, but a larger scale basically. So the first thing you want in a match 3 game, in my opinion at least, would be like a grid of objects or whatever you want to call them, so you can then switch them and they can disappear. So the first thing I would start doing is just to like instantiate a grid of object. So no matter what they are or whatever, the first step is to just make a grid of things, and then the next step would be probably to be able to move those things. So the next thing you could implement is something like, when you click on this one and then click on this one, you can switch them together, and you're like, alright, I know how to like trigger a method when I click on something, and I know how to change positions, so you can put the two together and make your thing. And so like you need to identify like what you know. I know how to click on stuff to make to make other stuff happen. That's weird to say. To make other stuff happen, and I know how to change object's position. like that. So I know how to do those two things. So like you don't think about like I need to click on this one, like I need to click on this one and then drag, and then like when I release on this one, then it goes back together. Like I hope everyone knows what's a match 3 game at this point, because I'm really bad at explaining it. But like you don't need to get caught up in the details. Like just clicking on this one and clicking on this one is a good approach to just like have them switch together, and then you got your switching mechanics. And then the next problem would be that if you got a line or something, then you want them to disappear. So technically your grid should be stored in a sort of array or whatever. This is really not about proper coding behavior or whatever, but like you know you need to get those neighbors. Like once this one has switched, you need to look at this up and down neighbor to see if it makes a line, and like at all nodes that's changed. So it's really taking problems like as they come up one by one and really breaking them into what are the tasks that I need to do and what do I know to achieve those tasks, and if the things that I don't know, where can I get the information, which tutorial I can follow and stuff like that. And yeah, I think it's really breaking it down to the smallest task possible. So like then you want, for instance, to display a score, so you know how to create a text UI that you know, and then you know that how to assign text to that UI. So like you just do text whatever but you know how to do that, for instance. And so then what you want to do, you know that by design that when a line disappears, you need to update your score. So you know that you need a score variable somewhere that you can like increment and stuff like that. And you know that when a line is made, you need to you need to increase that score value. So you'll have a method or whatever that when the line is made, you get some more score. So that's basically how I approach things, and I don't say the most efficient, but if it helps you get started, then that's a good thing. I'll try to make another video with a bit more of a concrete example, but that's basically the approach I use. So really break it down to task, and then know what do I know to achieve that task and what I don't know, what things do I need to research, and then just put them together, and that's it.